Hey everybody, welcome back to How to Break It. My name's Steve and I like to break stuff. Today we're doing something a little different. Welcome to the very first episode of a series I like to call Trash, Pass, or Badass. Basically what happens is I go out and I find a bunch of Chinese knockoffs of real products that I'm interested in. I bring them home, we play with them, and we see how we like it. So we're going to start off with 4 episodes of content. I went out and wasted a bunch of Christmas money yesterday at the Plaza de Tecnología and Freaky Plaza, which is basically 2 different places very close together in Mexico City where you can get technology and video games, anything that you desire. Except when I go. When I go, they always look at me strange because I need strange things. Anyways, back to it. So, what happened was, I went and I got the Sup video gaming console. This is a handheld. It's got a controller, hooks up to the TV. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna play with that. I'm gonna let you know, was it worth the money I paid for it? So make sure to stay tuned, get subscribed, hit that bell thing so that when I make a video, you get a notification so that you can see it, because I'd personally feel sad if you didn't get to see my videos. So we're gonna start off with 4 episodes of content, see how you guys like this style of video. And I know it's a little different than my typical Linux or Raspberry Pi type videos, but to me this seems really fun. It really does. So yeah, let's get into it. First we're gonna unbox and play with the Sup. So the rest of them, we'll play with those later. So let's break it. All right, so we need to unbox this bad boy. And the first thing you do when you unbox something is take a sip of Joe. So let's go over the packaging. It says 3-inch LED Sup, and on the back we have right here the charge indicator light, reset direction key, select start, charge speaker, game key, power, direction key, select start, game key. Yeah, let's get into it, okay? Some of the games that it is proposing that we get to play look like pretty standard Nintendo games, but it claims that there is, I think, 400 of them in here. This one's pretty popular. I've seen it many times in Mexico City. So, ooh, look at that. Okay. So first let's take a look at this. We got some accessories. Let's take a look at the accessories first. So you've got your mini HD charging, or sorry, mini USB H. It's a regular charging cable, what you'd expect. And then we have the audio video out, which goes in the top up here to a TV. I'm expecting it to be fun, but bad. That's what I'm expecting. Okay, and next we have the Sup Controller, which also uses micro USB. So this is packaged quite well, and the buttons don't feel so good. Overall, the build quality is pretty cheap. I mean, I paid, what did I pay for this? 300 pesos for this, which for you American folks would be about 15 bucks and probably about 20 bucks Canadian, just off the top of my head type of math. For batteries, it takes, this will throw you back. Pretty sure this is the same battery that a really old Nokia used to take. Say 3.7 volt, 1020 milliamp hour. It's a BLC5. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Okay. Has volume on the side, right there. And you get to select Chinese or English. You gotta press the buttons pretty hard. So they claim there's 400 games, Super Mario 14, that's gotta be fun. Mario 3, Dr. Mario, Mario Bros, Turtle 1, Turtles 4, everything you would expect to see on a machine like this. Emulation speed seems to be fine. Overall, the sound is what I expect out of it. The emulation speed is fine. There's a bit of screen tearing. The build quality is pretty, very cheap. It's actually pretty terrible, but it's strong. Like, I guess the next thing we have to do is hook it up to the TV and give it a go, see how we like it, and see what the experience really is like with the controller. Maybe it's a little better. I'm not expecting it to be with these buttons, but I guess we're just gonna have to sit back, wait and see, aren't we? Hey, buddy. Okay, so we've taken a look at it. I've played with it around, and I've got a bunch of notes, but I'm not really big on teleprompters, so I'm just gonna kind of go through my notes that I made. So as far as build quality, I've decided that it's very cheap. It's solid in the sense that, like, it doesn't flex. The plastic is really hard, but definitely very cheap plastic, so it gets a 2 out of 5 because I don't like the feel of it. And the display, for the included games, the display, the resolution isn't terribly bad, but there is a lot of screen tearing, so that can be distracting. So again, 2 out of 5. Oh yeah, I've decided to rate things by out of 5. And now as far as the sound goes, as long as the game is emulated at the right speed, the sound is pretty much spot on. But with this type of audio, you don't really need high quality speakers, and the ones that are included are loud enough to do the trick. So I give that a 3 out of 5. Maybe I should give that a 4 out of 5. I think, yeah, I'll do that. I'll give that a 4 out of 5. As far as external display support, it is pretty bad. I mean, it's there, which is good, but it's bad even by NES standards. If you're playing an NES on a TV, you're actually going to get a sharper picture than what you would get from this guy. At this price point, I don't expect HDMI, so I'm actually happy that the RCA was included. But the resolution is not the greatest even on an external display. There's a bit of ghosting and some shadows that I didn't really understand. So for that, we get a 2 out of 5. Now moving on to game selection, there's a heap of games, a lot of which are originals like Super Mario 1, 3, you get Pac-Man, Othello, River City Ransom 2, things like that. But there was a bunch of interesting, I guess you could say, bootleg games, like one that stands out in my mind is Super Mario 14, which I understand is a rebranded other game, but it's interesting. But it was fun. Like, I did enjoy Super Mario 14. It was interesting, but yeah. Basically a lot of games, but there was a lot of games repeated. So the 400 games in one, I would say, is more like a high 180, 200 or so. So for that, we get a 2 out of 5. Now, emulation speed, that's apparently something I have to worry about. Most games that I tried that ran at the proper speed, like Super Mario 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1, River City Ransom 2. I don't know what speed. What are you doing down there? I don't know what speed Super Mario 14 was supposed to run at, but it felt okay. However, Super Mario 1 was way off. I think it was running like 15 or 20% faster than normal. So that was definitely strange. And I don't understand it because all NES games were programmed to run at the same clock and at like the same speed. So that's very confusing for me. So for that, we get a 2 out of 5. Now onto the buttons. Onto the buttons. The button presses aren't always registered, and the presses need to be deliberate. So that just means you're gonna die a lot. So I'm gonna give that a 2 out of 5 because I didn't really enjoy that, but there are plenty of buttons. Your A and X buttons were functioning as turbo buttons, so if you needed to, like in Mario, jump and hit the brick to get a bunch of coins really rapidly, and you only have a certain amount of time to get those, the turbo button is great, but there's no indication on the machine that it's actually a turbo button. Anyway, 2 out of 5. Battery life. Now, this is interesting. There's no on-screen indicator for how much battery life that you have left, but there is a small little LED on the left of the screen that's used to indicate battery life, but it doesn't really do much. So it's just like, yeah, there's still battery, but if there wasn't, the machine wouldn't be on. So that's really strange. I didn't play it from like full till dead because I honestly didn't care to, and that's the real takeaway here, is that the battery probably lasts longer than you care to play for it at any given time. So for that, we actually give that a 3 out of 5 because I was feeling generous with battery life. It had to have some wins. Moving on to the multiplayer experience, it's non-existent. That just does not exist on this machine. So 0 out of 5. Charging. The LED on the left of the screen indicates that you are charging, and it charges through the micro USB port on the top. You can play games while charging, and you can play games while it's plugged in and you have the battery removed. So that's kind of cool. So for that, I give it a 3 out of 5. And as far as controllers go, we did have the Sup NES style with extra buttons knockoff controller that came with it, but when I plugged it in, no matter how many times I tried, it would not recognize the controller. So it's effectively just a paperweight. It's dead. It looked promising. It didn't feel great. It's made of cheap plastic, and the buttons feel just as soft as the ones made on the machine, but the controller straight up just didn't work. So I opened it up to see if everything looked fine, and it looked like super cheap, more basic than I expected it to look, honestly. But really, the question there is, what was I expecting? I tried using some different contact pads. I tried stimulating the pads on the controller with buttons from other machines, and nothing would work whatsoever. So that's a 0 out of 5. And then, of course, how much fun was it on the inside, disassembling everything? The controller was super basic, like I said, so that wasn't very fun. And I opened the actual Sup handheld console itself, and there's not a lot you can take apart. You take it apart and basically you pull the speaker and the switch off, but the rest of it is kind of glued to the screen, which is glued to the chassis of the device. And I could have forced it to push it out and take it apart and see how everything is put together, but I basically assumed that it would just be super cheap, super basic. And I can't rule out the possibility that I'm just going to give this away to somebody, so I might as well just not ruin it. All in all, that comes with a score of 23 out of 60 possible points, and since I gave it an extra point in the breakdown, we're looking at 38%. And my friends, 38% gets it a trash rating. That's it. The Sup handheld gaming device gets, this one's trash. So I guess we'll see you in the next one. What are we gonna do in the next one? I think in the next one we're gonna go TV based, and we're gonna do the Super Nintendo knockoff. So make sure to hit like, get subscribed, press the bell button, because I want you to see my videos, and I want you to want to see my videos. And if you don't want to see my videos, that makes me sad. But I guess I'll get over it. So yeah, stick around. We're gonna do the Super Nintendo one next, and we're gonna see how that stacks up against them all. Honestly, if you're going this route, just get an Odroid Go. An Odroid Go is miles better, miles better than the Sup handheld. So that's it for today's episode of Trash, Pass, or Badass. I'm Steve from How to Break It, and I break things. Peace out.